Hey guys, Nikki here. This is my first clip for my September reading challenge. For those of you that watched my TBR, you'll remember the 4 books I picked up. For those of you that didn't, but are tuning in now, that this is getting posted at the end of the month, I'll run through them quickly here. First, this first one is the one I'm the most excited for. It is The Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin. I read the first book in the series and loved it, and immediately picked up the second in the first form I could get my hands on, which was the audiobook from my library. I was in a bit of a reading slump at the time, and the audiobook was just not doing it for me. And I read the first one physically, so I'm hoping picking up the second one and reading it physically will kind of return that joy I felt with the first read-through, or with reading the first book. Next is The Memory of Fire by Cali. This is the second book in the Waking Land trilogy, and I remember reading the first one. I think I gave it like a 3 out of 5. I wasn't sure I was going to continue, but I find the covers kind of pretty, so I decided to give it a shot. Plus I had this themed vlog ready to go, so might as well pick it up. And you're following a different character. His name is Jahan or Yahan. I'm not sure. They didn't really go through pronunciation in the first book. And you're exploring his past. And while in the first book I remember not enjoying the protagonist, I did enjoy his character where he showed up, and given how vibrant I felt the world was how vibrantly the world was described and built, I'm excited to see how the second book goes. Next is Lavondis by Robert Holdstock. I had picked up the first one and did a VBC review for this one where I do those book club questions at the end and the more in-depth review. And I have to say, at the time, I was not planning on picking this up. But I don't know, months, year, or whatever, after my video went up, someone who has read the entire series actually said that this book was better than the first one, if I'm remembering correctly, and just our interaction in the comments really convinced me to give this second book a try, so I'm eager to pick it up and see how it is. And then finally, the last one is Lost in a Good Book by Jasper. On the back, it's blurbed as being very similar to like a Douglas Adams book, and I would both agree and disagree. Thursday Next series, which is this is the second book of. She's a detective in the literature crimes. In her world, they deal with literature in all forms very interestingly, and there is the ability to kind of go into the books or into the original manuscripts, which is explored pretty strongly in the first one, where the character Jane Eyre is kidnapped. And so you're following Thursday Next here in the second book again, which is awesome. She was a fun protagonist, and shit is still going sideways. They're still dealing with a lot of literature crimes. That's still her shtick. And given how quirky the first book was, I'm really excited to see what this book does. Well, that's it. That's all for this first check-in with you guys. Hopefully it isn't too long. I feel like I talked a lot about these books. I'll see you guys in the next clip, and when I stop talking here, for my reading book 2 of a series challenge. And I will see you guys then. Peace.
Guys, so I am kicking off my September reading vlog with these 2 books. First is Lost in a Good Book by Jasper. I really enjoyed the first one, which had to do with Jane Eyre. The title is escaping me. And it was interesting. I remember thinking it was way too tidy with the love interest, and unfortunately, the love interest, now husband, is pretty prominent here. I'm about 130 pages in, and I'm enjoying like the literary special operatives part of the story, but I'm not enjoying Thursday Next's character as much. I think what I'd really hoped was she was going to be like one of the cigar-smoking, whiskey-drinking, PI stereotype things. And she's not. I feel like as I go on, there's the chance that she'll redeem herself. And I'm interested to see kind of how everything works, because there's kind of a time travel aspect as well. This book is really kind of this book is really explained kind of as like an alternate history plus fantasy. Hopefully it'll be good. Now on to The Memory of Fire. So this is from Jahan's point of view, or Jahan's point of view, I'm not sure how to say it. And you start the book off with some of memories of him as a child and kind of the trauma that is alluded to in the first book. And then after the first couple, the kind of preface of that, you fall into the series where the first book left off. And I am a little hesitant about where this book is gonna go, because the main character's love interest, Alana, who's the main character from the first book, I still don't like. But the other parts of his story I think have a lot of promise, and he has complicated relationships with his two brothers, and I'm hoping those are kind of fleshed out a little bit more, because I really think that would be a lot of fun to explore with him, because overall I don't think he's a bad character. I haven't picked up the other two books yet. Thought I'd start with these, and so far mixed results. I will talk with you guys in the next clip. Unlike my previous vlogs, it won't be a week to 2 weeks before I get back to you. Peace. Just ignore my sock there. So, it is a Saturday night. I am going to bed a little bit early. It's not even 8 o'clock yet, with the specific intention to read. I'm hoping to finish Lost in a Good Book. I don't have very much left. I'm hoping to continue The Memory of Fire, maybe read another 30 pages. I'm really struggling with this one for some reason, and I can't quite place my finger on it, other than there's just a few things lingering from what I remember of the first book in here that I'm not enjoying. I have Velvet Was the Night, which is not part of my reading vlog, but I got it from the library at this same time, and I need to read it before it has to go back. I'm enjoying this one, even though it's not part of my vlog, and it shouldn't have been in this pile. And then I have grabbed Obelisk Gate off of my to-read shelf as well. If I don't enjoy this very much, I'm not going to try to push myself to read more than the 30 pages, and then I'll pick this bad boy up to give it a shot. So I'm hoping to have a pretty fruitful reading time, but I will check in with you guys most likely tomorrow morning, because I don't tend to put my books down until I'm basically falling asleep, and when I try to talk when I'm that tired, I sound like I'm drunk. So I will see you guys in the next clip. Hey guys, I'm checking in with you for my September reading vlog. I'm just going to make brunch. We're having cinnamon streusel strawberry muffins, and I'm going to tell you about the experiences I've been having reading. So to start, I can never remember what it's called, the one by Jasper Ford with the Thursday Next series. I finished that last night, and I'm a little disappointed. As I was with the first one, like the literary special ops stuff was really interesting. However, her dependency on Landon, her love interest, was incredibly frustrating. And then there's my oven. And just for the baking purposes, I'm just getting the dry ingredients together here. You know, nothing too fancy. This is part of my husband and I's Sunday kind of routine. I love brunch and I love cooking, so I have conned him
into doing these elaborate brunches with me. This week isn't something too crazy. Anyways, this week isn't too crazy. It's just, like I said, the kind of streusel topped strawberry muffins and a yogurt bowl, which is literally just like honey, cocoa, yogurt, berry, fruit of our choice. And if we want regular poops, some extra fiber. I'm stepping off camera for a second. I just need to get my wet ingredients started. Alright, now on to the somewhat boring part. Decapitating and dicing my strawberries. So, I mean, this looks a little bit uncomfortable, but this is fine, I'm left-handed. So, I mentioned the Thursday Next book already. Like I said, there's just, I don't like Landon. I don't like her relationship with him. Literally every other relationship is good in this book. I enjoy her relationship with her spec ops partner, Bowden. I enjoy even, like, her relationship with all the other spec officers, really. Like, some of them have a lot of feeling. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. There's lots of emotion, even if it's negative ones, behind a lot of these relationships. And I love watching her interact with them and them interact with her, except for Landon. And I have to be honest, like, this one, the first book had, like, a really good, like, had a pretty solid ending. You knew where it left off, and if you wanted to stop there, you could. This one, just, the second book just had way too much of a cliffhanger. I wasn't a huge fan of anything to do with Landon, which was unfortunately most of the story. So, like, largely, overall, I guess I can say I enjoyed it. It's just not my favorite. Speaking of not favorites, I'm gonna talk about the one by Cali Bates, whose name I also can't remember, even though I remember the author. The main character, Jahan, was a side character and love interest in the first book in the series. And to be quite frank, he was one of my favorite parts. Although he was a little bit, like, edgy TM. But, you know, like, he was okay. And now we're in this, I don't even know how to describe the second book. I am really, really struggling with this one. I actually don't know if I'm going to finish it, because there's all these political things going on, which I normally love. Like, he's trying to get political backing to get, so he can, so peace can be negotiated with the country where his love interest is from, because they don't want to go to war. They can't really afford to go to war, but at the same time, like, they don't want to be under this other, the rule of this other nation, because they're anti-magic and this place has lots of natural magic. I don't even know, it's a little YA for kind of what I was anticipating, and I don't know why, because I had the same feelings about the first one. It's just that the story was a little bit more YA. But I always love, you know, kind of rising, creating a revolt, overthrowing the regency, or not regency, the monarchy, there we go. And this just feels like it's going to be more of the same, but with a slightly different mask. Because there's revolts happening in this other country he's trying to negotiate peace with, and it's just, I'm getting really frustrated. This morning, this is the big update I was going to give for you guys, I started Obelisk Gate, which is book 2 in the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. You can tell how much interested I am in it by the fact that I actually remembered the title and the author and the series name for it. I'm only about 90 pages in, so not super far. But it picks up right where you left off, and I am just, you have this love-hate relationship with Essen, because you understand that she went through so much bullshit in the first book, and just, like, the way their society is just, it treated her like trash, and she doesn't really know, like, she has some kids, she doesn't really know how to treat them. It's so hard to read from her daughter's point of view, because, like, she hates her mother. She does, like, because she just the way she was teaching them, the way they were growing up, it was just really frustrating. And so I'm really excited to see where it goes. And I hope that she's able to find her daughter at some point in the book. I would really love that. Because I would hope that they'd have a really complex relationship. You'd get a really complex evolution of that relationship. Just like the mixture of hatred and lies and things that weren't being told because Essen didn't want to tell people about her previous life because she'd be ostracized for the fact that she was basically a government-owned sorcerer. I wouldn't say I'm enjoying it as much as the first one because a lot of the first one, there's that air of mystery because you didn't know who that, who the secondary perspective narrator was. But now you know who that is. And they're continuing with that, so I'm not sure if, like, this is still kind of from another, like, timeline perspective and they're telling the story actively or what's going on, but it's not, it doesn't have the same impact that it had in the first book, so I don't know if they're going to continue it. And it's not really annoying me, like I know it has annoyed others who've read the second book, but it doesn't have the same oomph so far. But I'm enjoying it the most. The fourth book, Lavondis, I have not started yet. I honestly don't know how much farther I'm going to get in the second Cali Bates book, so I might end up DNFing that one and picking up Lavondis. Although I don't really have high hopes for that one. I'm worried I'm going to DNF that one too, which really in the long run isn't a big deal, but it is what it is. I'm going to finish cutting these strawberries off camera because I have run out of things to talk about. Alright, so off camera, I did the wet and dry ingredients into my stand mixer. So the last step here, outside of making the streusel, because I've decided not to make the streusel because I don't want to cut cold butter. I find it very tedious and I'm about done. So the last step here is just to mix the strawberries I was dicing into the batter. And just fold them in all gentle like, and have my husband laugh at me even though he's not the one baking. And then off camera I also threw my silicone muffin liners in to my muffin tin, and so they're ready to go. Get this all sorted and away I go. But I am now done with using my wonderful little finger spatula and my quarter cup, even though I wanted a third cup measuring cup. I'm all good to go. My muffins are ready. I am deciding against doing the streusel topping just at the last minute here because I don't want to cut up cold butter at this point. And I'll do my best to remember to take a picture to show you guys the final product, and I will see you in the next clip.
Hey, I'm just checking in. It's been a couple of days, and I took a holiday kind of in the middle of the week here. 99% for my mental health, 1% because I need to catch up on my reading. Just nothing, like, non-specific things. I've been struggling with anxiety, especially through COVID, and I just need to reframe taking care of my mental health more regularly than I have been. So, middle of the week check-in. I have been reading all morning. I got up around 7, and I am now most of the way through the Obelisk Gate by Jemisin. I'm still really, really enjoying this. I'm really pumped to finish it and then find the next book, which I might also do today if I decide to go out of the house before my haircut. But on to the other book, The Memory of Fire, the one whose name I never remembered, and although I think this is a beautiful cover, I'm now just short of being halfway through the book and I'm getting super frustrated with it. I don't know how to explain it outside of the clip I'll insert here. My husband gives it to me.
All it feels like is just some edgy little emo kid taking out his frustrations. Like, it doesn't feel like, oh, this is gonna be calculated, it's gonna be effective. It feels like my love disappeared for reasons outside of my control, so now I'm gonna burn down the world. Like, that's what it feels like.
And that's just my off the cuff thoughts. Like, it's not even like I think it's particularly terrible. I'm just getting really, really frustrated. So we'll see how this goes. I anticipate finishing the Obelisk Gate today, probably in the next hour or two here. And after that, I might actually put this down for a little bit and pick up Lavondis, which is my last one. I didn't really anticipate finishing all 4 books. I don't know why I picked 4. Overly ambitious and just like zero planning. I don't know. Anyways, so I'm feeling like if I can finish 2, struggle to finish a 3rd, and maybe DNF. We'll have to see. I'm going to give it a little bit longer before I do that. But that's all I got for you right now. Just wanted to check in to give you guys an update, and I'll see you guys in the next clip.
Hey guys, this is the final check-in for my September reading vlog. I meant to check in with you for a second time on my day off, and I completely forgot. As you can see, after I talked to you last, I got my hair cut, and it's been a few days since, so now I'm going to tell you about the books. So I'm gonna go with the order I finished them in, not necessarily the order I picked them up in. So the first one is Lost in a Good Book by Jasper Ford. I loved like how quirky and strange it was. I enjoyed the fantasy elements because they played really well off of the kind of alternative history elements that were also in the book. Although I liked Thursday Next unto herself, for whatever reason, the relationship she has with her husband, Landon, makes me want to shoot myself in the face. There's something about it that I don't like reading about, and I would have preferred to have her just single. But I love all the other relationships, the relationship she has with her mom, with her dad, with her brother, with her partner, and the entire like special operatives literary team that she's a part of is just so much fun to follow. This book ended up being about a 3 out of 5. I liked it overall, but like I really had a hard time getting past the whole situation surrounding her and her love interest and her slash husband. So it was like a 3 out of 5. I have the 3rd book in the series. I'll probably read that, and then unless I find them for a good price at a secondhand bookstore, I'm probably not going to pick them up again. Just the things I liked in the first one weren't really here, and some of the things I didn't like were. So we'll have to see if the 3rd book improves or not, and if not, I'll probably stop there. The next book 2 is Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin. I read the first one a couple years ago, gave it a 5 out of 5. About a month after finishing it, I picked this one up as an audiobook from my library, and I couldn't do it. I was kind of in a reading slump to begin with, which I think is part of the issue. I put it down for a while, and man, am I glad I did. I picked up this physical copy from a local secondhand bookstore, I think, and holy baby Jesus, is this good. This is easily the best read I had in this vlog. I give it about a 4.5 out of 5. You're still following Essen, who you followed in the first book, but it's a very different situation, and you're also following her daughter Nassin, which you didn't really do in the first book. I love how the politics of the situation are handled. I love how the history and the culture of this place is handled. I love how it's suggesting things, and I'm forcing you to connect the dots, and I have a bunch of predictions for the 3rd book that I'm just now really excited to pick up the 3rd book. Next is Lavondis by Robert Holdstock. I basically read this entirely off camera because I hadn't picked it up last time I talked to you, or was only thinking of picking it up. I can't remember. And after that clip, I picked it up and started reading it, was enjoying it. There's still some of like the weird misogyny surrounding certain types of storytelling that I really struggled with, and there's a scene near the end where your main character Talus is like being strangely violated, and that was very disturbing to me. But the rest of the book still had that really interesting kind of folklore, folktale vibe to it, and just like how showing in a different way how storytelling affects people's lives. And I'm probably going to end this series here. I enjoyed it, but I don't know, I'm not convinced I should continue it. I definitely enjoyed this book a lot more than the first because your main character, Talus, is female, so there's a few kind of like run-of-the-mill sexist things because of when the book takes place that we don't have to, like, she just rolls her eyes at and is kind of like, okay, whatever, dude, like, move on. And she ended up being a pretty strong female character in the long run, so overall, like, this was pretty good. This is another, I gave this about a 3.5 out of 5. I liked it a little bit more than Lost in a Good Book, but it wasn't, all of these, even though these are all fantasy reads, they're all very different vibes. Like, this one is definitely more like a storytelling vibe, and it was really interesting to get into, and you come back and meet with a couple different characters that were kind of explored in the first book. And then, this is, unfortunately, the failure of my vlog. I didn't anticipate finishing all of these books, but I definitely thought I would be DNFing Lavondis and not this one. So, as you guys remember if you watched it, I had that little rant about Jahan and Alana and like all these different tropes, and there's this one trope, a character dies and then they come back at basically 2 scenes later, and it makes me so angry when they do that because it makes the book feel like there's no goddamn stakes. And with the premise that this book has, there should be stakes. Anywho, I'm only about halfway through. I don't know if this is a DNF forever, but it's a DNF for right now. I really want to finish it, and I'm really torn even if I'm going to keep the series on my shelf because these covers are gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And I just am not fond of the series so far. It's been like, the first book I think I gave out a 3 out of 5, and this is a little bit less than that at this point. That's all I'm going to say about it because I'm sure there's lots of people out there who've read it and love it, and I don't want to shit on the book because it's not like a terrible book. It just does things I don't like in books. And that is it for this month's vlog. 4 books was way too ambitious. I'm going to cut myself way back for October, especially looking at my schedule. I don't know how I thought I was going to read that much, but I digress. I'll leave you here. I'll see you in the next video to talk more about more books. Peace.